Liz, thank you for chatting to us today. First of all, could I ask you, obviously you have a varied career. Can you just give us an overview, background of your career and what's led you here today?
For sure, and I think those two questions go together because I've worked all of my professional life in education. I started at Milton Keynes College of FE and went to the Open University, University of Salford, Goldsmiths, University of London, University of Central Lancashire, and now I'm closing the loop by coming back to FE here in Newcastle with NCG. So I've worked always in education, always with the learner, the student, right at the heart of what's happening, and then in the later years making sure that the whole organisation is working effectively to ensure brilliant learning, brilliant outcomes for students, as well as being a great place to work, which is so important.
Thank you very much. So that's a lot of different roles you've done within education there. Is there a favourite role or a particularly memorable role you can share with us and why it sticks out for you?
Well, I've really enjoyed them all, but the one I think that I probably have the fondest recollection of is the Goldsmiths time, and that's because I went in there with a really big job to do, which was about cultural change. It was about efficiencies and effectiveness and processes and gearing everything that Goldsmiths was doing much more in favour of the student, putting the student at the heart of what we did. So looking back, I had a fantastic team of colleagues, fantastic academics that we worked with, and at the end of my 5 years there it felt as though I'd done a really good job. So that's why it feels like my favourite place. But if you ask me that question in 6 months, I'm hoping I'll be saying NCG, of course.
Absolutely. So thinking about your role at NCG, what is it that attracted you to the role of Chief Executive for NCG?
Well, I think that NCG is such an interesting organisation. To have 7 colleges scattered right around the country, to be able to draw on all of that experience, the different experiences of our staff and learners in all those different localities, and to be able to draw best practice, experience, cross-reference what we're doing in different places and why, and to make a real difference in not just the world of FE but the world of education and in all of the locations where we are operating and teaching new skills, new qualifications, new ways of thinking about people's futures. So it's a big role, but it's a great organisation with so much opportunity, and I think what attracted me was just the challenge of the role, the diversity of the colleges that make it up, and the challenge of running a really big family of colleges with the single purpose of delivering really great education, perhaps going further in education.
So what, you touched on it there, but what are your main goals and priorities for NCG?
So the goal is to make NCG the leading name for further education in the UK, and indeed as it moves into the higher education market as well. So we become the go-to place not just for learning or working or teaching, but also for policymakers, for advisory services, and for making a difference. I think that NCG has the scope and span to really impact on what FE can do, how it should be funded fairly, how we widen the opportunities to the greatest number of people to be able to access education, change their lives, and use NCG as a stepping stone into their future.
Thank you. What inspires you in the education industry?
I think that the inspirational thing about education is that it creates opportunity that otherwise wouldn't exist. So I am the first in my family who went to university, and it kind of doesn't matter whether it's a university education or anything else. It made me grow up as an independent thinker, as a person who had very different ambitions from those that I'd grown up with. I grew up on a farm in Cheshire. The life that I have now, the life that my children have, would not have been possible without education. And I want that opportunity, the opportunity that I've lived through and benefited from, to be available for absolutely anybody who wants it. So for me, education is the key that unlocks the door to opportunity, future, ambition, life.
Thank you. Thinking more broadly, is there anything you would like to see happen within the FE sector?
Yes, there is. I would like to see a real shift of emphasis from HE as the proper and appropriate destination for learners, into a far broader options-based role. And I think that the respect that FE is due and the profile that FE should have in terms of real-world learning, skills development, contributing to the regional economies and therefore to the national economy, I think that NCG has a real opportunity to fly that flag. And everybody who works within the NCG family ought to be making that case for FE to be on a level playing field with HE, for the funding to follow, and for people who engage in education through FE or through HE in FE have exactly the same levels of respect and recognition in terms of what they've achieved as those who go to the new universities, which is very much about vocational education as well. So a levelling of the playing field and being able to deliver our education with real pride, I think would be a great, significant step.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.